Hey guys, I'm Esther and I'm back for another video with Lowland Kids. I'm a little bit sniffly today, so if I sound really congested, it's because I am. In this video, I'm going to talk you through step by step how to sew up the Lowland Kids ribbed leggings pattern. This is a free pattern. You can jump on the Lowland Kids website and just look up ribbed leggings, and they are zero cost because they're free. And you can download all the instructions, the patterns in letter format, A0 and projector file, I believe. So you'll have everything you need except for your fabric and all your sewing materials, sewing tools. Except for that stuff, you'll have everything that you need to get started. This is the pattern here. You can find so many inspirational pictures on the website and of course on their Instagram. And they have an app as well if you'd prefer to navigate your way through that way. So lots of figgies. It is a ribbed legging pattern, but you can of course crop them shorter and make them cute little bike shorts. I'll show you the pairs that I made up that turned out really great, of course. Not because I sewed them, but because they're a Lowland pattern. I have a little color thing going on here because I'm in the process of sewing a capsule wardrobe for my little one. And I'm a big fan of neutrals. So these are the leggings here, the full length ones. I chose to do a contrast cuff. The leggings, not me. There you go. Contrast cuff in the ribbed fabric that I had. And I even sewed on this cute little label on the back so that it's easy to tell which side the back is. I decided to use elastic for mine, so along the waistband, but I think I read in the pattern that you don't have to use elastic, but it depends on what fabric you're using. So because these are leggings, it is a knit pattern, you must use a stretchy fabric, and don't make the mistake that I did, which is not testing out how much stretch your fabric has before you start sewing, because I wanted to use this gorgeous merino rib. It's super cute. It's a very luxe fabric and it's quite thick, so it doesn't actually have quite as much stretch as I think you need in these leggings. So I was originally going to make them full length, and then after cutting them out, sewing the legs together, I thought these are just not going to fit my bub. So I cropped them into like a kind of a bike short length. No, I wanted them to go over her knees because she crawls around on her knees a lot. And so I think they're still gonna fit her, but follow the instructions that come with the download that show you how to test the amount of stretch in your fabric before you get sewing. As you can see, they turned out so cute, and being a free pattern, you really have nothing to lose. This is also the perfect beginner pattern. So if you're very new to sewing, very new to using stretchy fabrics, this is the pattern for you. I will do my best to talk you through step by step, and let's get started.
You'll receive this info when you download the pattern. It's got such clear, great instructions that will talk you through everything that you need. These are the flats of the leggings, so you can either turn them up and hem them, or you can add little cuffs, or you can of course crop them into cute bike shorts. There's also lots of info about how to cut and how to print out, all that sort of stuff. This is the beautiful merino rib that I intended to use, and I did end up using but had to kind of improvise. As you can see here, it does not have a lot of stretch. So just be careful again to follow the instructions and do a stretch test to make sure that the fabric is suitable for this pattern. I ended up cutting another pair in this merino jersey, which is a lot lighter and has a lot more stretch to it. So it definitely will fit. So again, make sure that you check your stretch before you start cutting. I finally got around to setting up my projector so that I could use that instead of paper patterns. And that's another amazing thing about this Lowland free pattern, is that it comes with the projector file as well as paper patterns. So you can either print them off, stick them together and cut your pieces out, or if you have a projector, you can pretty much get started on cutting straight away. I haven't actually sorted out my rotary cutter and cutting mat situation, so I did a bit of a cheeky and I had to use my scissors. So the next thing on my list is to sort that situation out. Once cut out, we're going to sew our front crotch pieces together and then separately our back crotch pieces together. So right sides together of the fronts and right sides together of the backs, and then we're going to serge straight down that crotch seam. If you don't have a serger, you will have to use a stretch stitch on your sewing machine. So either use a small zigzag or a lightning stitch, or I know that some sewing machines come with like an overcasting stitch that looks like overlocking or serging, but is actually sort of a bit of a mock stitch. So you can use that as well. Next, we can open up our front pieces and our back pieces and lay them on top of each other, right sides together. Then we can serge down both the side seams and the inseam. I like to line up that crotch seam that we just sewed, so matching up the front and back crotch seam and pinning that together so that it lines up. Again, we'll either need to serge this or use the stretch stitch that you used earlier. As I mentioned earlier, once I'd sewn this up, I realized that this was not stretchy enough. So I decided to trim off some of the length from that rib version that wasn't stretchy enough, and I turned them into a sort of cropped bike short or like a cropped legging style instead. I just used an old pair of Bubs leggings to measure how much I wanted to cut off. I didn't want to waste that extra fabric, so I decided to use that as cuffs for the other pair of leggings. To attach the cuffs, you sew them together along the long side and then fold them over like this so that that seam is hidden on the inside of the cuff. You shouldn't be able to see it from the outside at all. Then with your leggings inside out, you place the entire cuff inside the leg opening and serge all around in a circle. Once you pull it out, it should look like this. Sewing around the cuffs can be tricky because they're so teeny tiny, so just take your time and make sure that you're attaching all 3 layers of fabric. There should be 2 layers from the cuff attaching to the 1 layer from the leggings, so 3 layers in total. If you're doing the cuffed version, that's all there is to it. We can move on to the waistband. It's a good idea to use quite a soft elastic for the waistband so that it's nice and comfortable for your baby or your kid. So once you've found what you're going to use, look at the chart that comes with the pattern and tells you how much elastic you'll need. Then we're going to butt the ends of the elastic together like this, nice and flat, and we're going to use a wide zigzag stitch on our sewing machine to stitch those sides together. You can go back and forth a few times, so use the reverse function on your sewing machine until it is nice and secure, and it should look like this. Now I'm swapping over to a different pair of shorts to show you how to do the waistband because I thought it would be more clear, but I think it doesn't really make a difference. So anyway, we've got our elastic that's now in a loop. I've divided it into 4 equal parts, and that will make it easier to match up with the 4 parts around the waistband of the shorts. So the center front, the center back, and the 2 side seams. I'm going to use pins, or you can use clips to keep those in place. And then we're going to stretch out the elastic in between those pins and space out that elastic evenly on the shorts or the leggings. I'm going to use quite a wide zigzag stitch to sew along that top edge of the shorts to attach the elastic. I'll take out the pins as I go, and I'll have to stretch out the elastic carefully as I sew. If you have a serger, you can use that here as well, but I'm just showing you how to do it with a regular sewing machine using the zigzag stitch. Try and get as close to that edge as you can because it will look neater to have the fabric attached to the elastic that way. And it should look like this. To finish it off, we're going to top stitch the elastic down so that you can't even see it. Again, you can use pins or clips to hold it in place as you go because you will need to stretch out the elastic again as you sew. If you have a cover stitch machine here, you can definitely use that. Otherwise, you can use the same zigzag stitch that we used before. Otherwise, I actually really like to finish my waistbands with a regular straight stitch, but do be aware that a straight stitch is not a stretch stitch. So what I do to compensate that is I stretch out the elastic a little bit more and I make the stitch length really long. This is so that when I'm stretching out the elastic and I'm sewing it, when I'm done sewing, the stitches will sort of shrink back with the elastic and it makes the stitches look quite short. So keep in mind that if you want to use a straight stitch like I am here, you will have to stretch it out a little bit extra to allow for that stretch in the elastic to get the shorts on and off. Otherwise, just use a zigzag stitch and that will allow for the stretch. Another option is you can use a twin needle. So twin needles are compatible with most regular sewing machines. You just need to buy the little twin needle attachment and replace the needle in the machine with the twin needle. Then you basically thread up the machine as per usual, except of course you need a second spool of thread, which hopefully your machine comes with a tiny little attachment so you can pop that in and have a second spool, and then you thread up the machine exactly like the first thread. So essentially you have two threads running through the machine, threaded up as per usual, but then each thread goes to one of the two needles that are down by the throat plate. Make sure you do a few test runs to get the hang of it, otherwise that's another option for finishing off your waistband top stitching. Otherwise it's also a great option for finishing off your hems. So if you did not want to put cuffs on the end of your leggings, then this is how we're going to finish the hems. You can also use a zigzag stitch, again because it needs to be a stretchy stitch. So it's up to you. You can use the zigzag stitch to finish the hem, or you can use a twin needle. And of course, if you have a cover stitch machine, you can use that. This is the very last step to finishing off our leggings. So if you haven't already, simply fold up the hem, however much the seam allowance was. I believe it's 1 inch. Fold it up, you can pin it in place, you can even iron it down nice and flat so that it makes it easier to sew. And then a nice little hack that I like to do when I'm finishing these tiny little hems for tiny little legs is to have the leggings inside out, which creates a nice little flat surface for you to work on where the needle is and to feed that fabric through without the risk of overlapping other fabric and other bits of the leggings getting in the way. Ideally, I would like to get a little bit closer to that raw edge when you're finishing things off, but otherwise it doesn't make too big of a difference because it's on the inside, and the outside is really nice and neat with those 2 rows of stitching. I added these cute little tags on the back so that it's easy to tell which is the front and which is the back, and now our leggings are all finished.
If you had a go, we would love to see how yours turned out. You can find us on Instagram at Lowland Kids, and you can hashtag us, you can hashtag us, you can tag us. We would love to see how your makes turn out. I've done quite a few videos with Lowland now, and if you have any requests for patterns that you would love to see me sew up next, leave that in the comments. If you get stuck, leave that in the comments. If you have a question, and we will try our best to get back to you and help you get unstuck. You can usually find me on my own YouTube channel, which is Slow Living, and that's slow with an E. I try to sew stuff with sustainability in mind, so a slow lifestyle. I sew up a bunch of different things on there, quite random actually. If you're interested in that kind of thing, jump over there and check it out. Thanks so much for watching. I hope that this was helpful for you, and I will see you in another video soon. Bye.